Hi, this is Bill Johnson, and you're listening to the Horror Squad podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Horror Squad podcast. This is episode number 374, where tonight we will be talking about my birthday pick, 1986's The Fly. I'm here, of course, as always, with the always handsomes, Steve's and Todd's. And
Two of them,
Steve,
two each. Happy
yes,
birthday, Joe.
Happy
and
birthday, Joe.
Joe's. Thank you,
Little
gentlemen.
birthday boy.
Thank you, gentlemen. 38 has never looked so good on anyone, I gotta
I was
say.
gonna say, you're looking pretty fly, dude.
Thank
Pretty
you.
fly.
Pretty
Look at
fly
that
for a
hair,
white
dude.
guy. So look at
Oh,
these long.
you can't
Oh,
see, but he's running
yes.
his hair through
Woo!
his hands through his silky
My
hair.
slowly evolving,
Oh, I see
turning
that
to
tricep
salt
popping.
and
Don't try to fucking
pepper
hide it from me.
hair. Thank you.
See that little tricep pop? I like it.
But
So,
yes, Steve, we got an interview tonight as well
we do. It's been a long
in honor
time.
of my birthday.
That's right. It's
Not
been a
really.
long time since we've had an interview. So this is an interview with Liam Le Guillou, who is the, I guess you could say, star, director, writer. It's a documentary called A Cursed Man, which comes out on Friday. So check it out on VOD. It's about a guy who goes and tries to get cursed. We're going to talk about it on What Watched a little bit later if you want to hear more about our thoughts. But check the interview. It's a good one. He goes to a lot of spooky places, talks about a lot of spooky things that he saw on his journey, and it's a really interesting one. So yeah, definitely worth checking out at the end of the episode.
Definitely. I had a lot of fun. Steve couldn't make the interview, so I did that one solo. But it was a really cool interview because of the premise alone, like of this movie, which Steve and I will talk about during our watch segment. But yeah, it's a really cool concept, a really cool premise, and he was a really fun interview. So definitely stick around for that. Todd, a little bit of a final episode update, I believe, sir. You did a little filming.
I did a little filming in honor of Joe's birthday.
Thank you.
Got the crew together, did some more filming. This was day 3 of filming. And we're probably looking at maybe definitely a fourth day because it's not done, and maybe fifth, maybe a sixth. We'll see. But we're probably around 70% complete now. Obviously not including editing and sound effects and the score and all that shit. But as far as getting stuff on tape, that's we're 70% done. Oh boy, man, it was so much fun. Filming is so fun. I feel like me and my guys are we're hitting that. What's the fucking term for it? What am I trying to say? We're
In the
making
groove.
in the groove. There you go. Perfect. We're hitting the groove with filming, man. We're getting it down and getting the angles right and all that stuff. And just filmed a really complex scene of the mailman getting killed. We did film a little bit of it last time.
Spoilers.
Spoilers, but I mean it's in the description. But hey, of the mailman getting killed. I'm not gonna say how, even though I probably already said it. But lots of blood, lots of stunt work, quote unquote, and it resulted in the police coming because we were looked like we were killing a guy by running him over repeatedly with the truck, and there was a shit ton of blood, and the dummy looks fucking really good, and I was like on my stomach underneath the truck filming for these crazy angles and super dangerous and stupid. But yeah, the police came, they parked, looked at us, and then left. So thankfully nothing happened because I think they saw some grown ass man with a bunch of camera equipment and lighting, and they're like, ah, fuck it, they're not doing anything. But yeah, the location's fucking so cool. It's an abandoned little medical center, and it's got a loading dock, which is where they hide the body, and it was just a blast. And I filmed a couple things in my house where the characters are arguing about something. But um, yeah, dude, I love doing it. It's awakening stuff in me where I'm just like, man, I can't wait to do the next project and get this done. And I have to, slow down and be like, all right, we got to finish this one. There's still a lot to do. Not only do I have to finish mine, but you guys got to do yours, and then we got to do a wraparound, and we got to edit it, and we got to launch it, and we got to fucking
Mhm.
blah 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 blah. So having a blast, super fun. Can't wait for the next day. I think we're gonna shoot a little bit in April, but probably finish in June where everything kind of comes together. So super excited, man. I'll put some stills. You guys should get emails from the Indiegogo campaign, but also on our Discord, man. I push it in there all the time. So check it out, and then check out the teaser Steve did last week. Still up there, so give us some love.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I cannot wait. To start filming mine as well, which should be fairly soon, within the next month. Anyway, slight delay on my production just due to the mask. I'm still awaiting, but I did email them and they said there is a slight delay, but I should be getting it relatively soon. And then sort of once that comes in, it's just a matter of making some costumes and stuff. But yeah, I'm hoping by end of April I should be in the filming zone. So very excited for that. I'm hoping to do it over a weekend. We'll see. I don't think I'm going to be able to accomplish over a weekend. I feel like it's going to be a little too in depth, so it might be over 2 weekends. But I'll keep everyone updated as that goes along. But yes, we're chugging along. We're all excited. We can't wait. Steve, any updates on yours? I know you're kind of going solo for the most part, right? On yours?
Yeah, no, I set a bunch of filming dates from like May to July.
Mm-hmm.
My story kind of requires it to be nice outside. Right now it's fucking snowy hell, so I can't do anything with the outside stuff. I'm just preparing. Mine's very prop heavy. There's a lot of stuff, different characters, different props and stuff that I need to gather. But now that the trailer's done, that's going to be my main focus, and I cannot wait to get started. I have so many fucking ideas, and I have the costume sitting there, and I'm like excited and giddy about like the things I'm gonna do in them and stuff like that. So, and I'm gonna have people helping me. My boys from when I was a kid, they've been friends with me since a long time, and they're gonna come on different weekends and help me out with the filming and the props and this, setting up and then cleaning and then resetting, all that kind of stupid garbage. So, looking forward to it. It's fun.
Awesome. Very cool. All right. And don't forget, if what you're liking, if you're new to the show or whatever, and what you're hearing sounds cool, and you want to maybe throw a little extra money our way, we do still have our Indiegogo open just for, sort of the fun of it. If you want to contribute to helping us indie filmmakers, uh, helping us with any sort of, upping the budget on the movie with, like I said, everything is going completely back into this movie. So any money made will be going straight into our budget. So we appreciate you guys. We've already raised so much and it's really helped us. So we cannot wait to get this movie out to you guys. We appreciate you. The Indiegogo is linked, and I think there's still perks up there as well.
Yeah, there's a
So
ton of perks, man,
yeah.
including screen use props. Steve is making his own props and everything.
Hmm.
Joe's got some witch related ones. I got some
Yeah.
killer mailman related ones. So yeah, we met our budget. We went way over what we thought we would get. So anything else is
Mhm.
just like, icing
Cake.
on the cake,
Yeah.
baby. Little extra blood here and there, baby.
Mhm.
So we appreciate it. Oh, also I'm gonna film there's a scene with that requires a graveyard and a Ouija board that I'm going to film soon, and the
Ooh.
Ouija board has been purchased by our buddy Missy. So I'm going to
Nice.
send that
Oh
to her
yeah.
as
Nice.
soon as I'm done with it.
Very cool. Will it be cursed? Will she be getting a cursed Ouija board?
It
We don't
will
know.
be cursed. It will be
Yeah.
guaranteed.
Cursed objects. Love it. Yeah. Yeah, I got three witch cloaks that are like a huge part of my storyline. So people are gonna want them once the movie's out. I'm telling you, it's gonna be absolutely amazing. So, hey, after the indie goes on, I'm not selling them. I'm keeping them. So if you don't buy them now, you're not gonna get them. Also, screen used demon mask. This thing is fucking amazing. It's $1,000 though. I mean, it's a lot of money, but honestly, like it's I cannot wait to see it in person because I think it's gonna be cool. I think it's gonna show well on screen too and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to get that as well. But that's some of the crazier stuff. But there's a lot of great stuff over there. So yeah, if you want to, Indiegogo, it's linked on our Instagram. If you want to show some support to the movie, if you haven't already. And all right, I think that's it, gentlemen. So why don't we get into what watched? What you been watching this week?
All right, yeah, Joe, you want to start with a cursed band
Sure, we can start with the Cursed Man.
since it's related to the interview that we're doing.
Yep.
So I'll just give the quick synopsis. So it's a guy he's very into the like occult and things like that. And he had the idea that we always talk about, priests and like shamans and everything like that doing kind of good curses and stuff like that. But there are a bad side to magic that unfortunately happens. And he wondered, as maybe a skeptic, maybe a believer, what would happen if I got these, you know, priests or shamans or voodoo people to put a bad curse on me? Would anything actually happen to me? So he travels the world to find people to put a bad curse on him and then talks about whether or not it has an effect on him. Is it placebo? Is it something actually going on? You'll have to watch the documentary to find out. So that's basically the gist of the story. So, Joe, what do you think of this documentary?
Yeah, man, I actually really enjoyed it. I've always been like into sort of curses and, stuff like that. So I thought like just the premise alone of a person wanting to put an actual curse on themselves and to sort of see what could potentially happen, I thought was really cool. And I had a really fun time like on his journey. He goes to New Orleans and meets, witch doctors while he's there. He goes to India where it's like illegal to be like sort of like right or like it's like illegal to sort of even talk about like curses and these sort of things. He goes to Mexico where he literally, and we talk about this in an interview, he literally does, a blood sacrifice to Satan, and sort of like all this crazy stuff. And, it's to see, is this, are curses real? Are curses in our minds? Like, it's a really interesting sort of journey. So yeah, overall, I actually really enjoyed this. I sat down with Sam and, we both dug it. I think if, if you're a skeptic or a believer, I think there's something to take one way or the other with it. My only real complaint about the movie is I think it is a little slightly too long. It did start to drag in parts. But yeah, man, I actually like this a lot more than I thought I was going to. So yeah, I mean, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's definitely worth a watch, and I would certainly recommend it.
Yeah, I think it's a really fascinating subject, and I really like to see kind of the different people's like religions or beliefs and how they're interpreted, especially when it comes to like kind of the dark side of it, like curses and stuff like that. There's some really interesting moments in the documentary as well. Like there's one of these old like priests or shamans or whatever from New Orleans who like responds in a way that I didn't expect, and I don't think he expected it either. And I thought it was a really fascinating kind of exploration of, privilege and stuff like that. So that was cool. As far as like the things that are going on, I'm very much on the skeptic side. So I have a very hard time believing in any of this stuff. And there's just some moments in the documentary which I'm like, I don't know, like it just seems like tourist traps to me, not genuine magic. And but that's really because of my belief system, not so much because of what he was doing. I think Liam is a great host, though. He does a really good job of like conveying what he's feeling at the time, and he also like provides kind of feedback after each of these experiences. And so I think the documentary is definitely worth checking out. I actually gave it a 2.5 out of 5 just because I am a skeptic and I had trouble believing in some of the people that are doing the curses.
All right, cool. All right, my first one here is 1999's Virus, starring everyone's favorite Jamie Lee Curtis and one of the Baldwins, William, Billy, I don't fucking know. But this one is a team of like hodgepodge people on like a fucking um I don't know, like a freight liner or something. They're in the ocean. They get stuck in a hurricane, and then they lose all their cargo. And the captain, played by the dude that plays President Snow in Hunger Games, I forget his name. He's a great actor.
Donald
Um,
Sutherland.
Darcy Lynn, there you go. Rest in peace. Um, he's like, I'm not fucking going anywhere because I'm gonna kill myself because I lost all this fucking money. And he's like, wait, there's a ghost ship out there, and it's a Russian research vessel with like a bunch of state-of-the-art shit. If we take it over, we can do salvage and claim it and blah blah blah. And they're like, let's do it. They get on the ship, and some alien has beamed themselves down and has merged with robotic life forms and the human bodies and kind of made like a little hodgepodge robot man alien cyborg thingamabobbers. So like a really cool concept, man. Like, I'm damn, that sounds fucking badass. And then when you see the cyborgs and they're like dripping body parts and they're all bloody and shit like that, I'm like, whoa, this is really cool. Problem is, man, like I don't give a fuck about any of these characters. Like I don't give a shit. Like they're all annoying. Um, it takes way too long to actually get to the cream of this, right? Like I want to see more robot action. I want to see more body horror stuff. And unfortunately, like we have a lot of inner turmoil with the crew. Like everyone hates the captain. The Baldwin's like, I'm gonna take over. Everyone thinks Jamie Lee Curtis is hot. There's a guy that like acts totally normal and then snaps and is really weird and doesn't make any sense to his character. So ultimately, like when you have bad characters and a slow plot, like not even the cool gore and special effects can save it. So I gave it a 2.5 out of 5, and then I watched that one via VHS. So um, I don't know if this is streaming. Let me check real quick. I got it open right here, and it is currently streaming on nothing. You can buy it on YouTube.
Alrighty. I got one more tonight. It's a movie currently streaming over on Shudder, and it is a movie titled Grafted. This one is, I think, New Zealand type of movie, maybe, or something like that. But this one is about a young girl who goes to a Chinese girl who goes to a prestigious school in New Zealand. She sort of is, I guess I would call her sort of like a loner, but she starts essentially like she goes and she creates like this sort of like beauty thing, and it's like sort of like a way for like skin to sort of graft together. And she like, ends up like, I don't want to say too much, but what she ends up doing is she starts like taking people's skin to make herself more beautiful by like grafting the skin like onto herself. And yeah, and craziness sort of ensues from there. This one overall was pretty fun, but I found it to be very uneven at times as well. I just couldn't connect with like any of the characters in the movie, but the body horror in it is pretty cool. It reminded me of like Reanimator at times, and also obviously some Substance in there as well. And even like a Freaky Friday situation, because like she wears like a girl's face at one point and people think it's her. Um, so yeah, man, it's definitely a fun watch, but the issue comes to me was like I just couldn't get down with most of the characters. There's also some weird like comedy aspects in it I couldn't get down with, but overall I'd recommend it. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I think it's definitely decent. It's not going to make like top 10 or anything like that of the year, but it's solid, and I would recommend it, especially if you have Shudder. It's it's a solid one-time watch for me.
So I have two tonight. The first one is because of this episode. It's from 1958, and it is The Fly. So this is the movie that the one we're reviewing tonight is based on. It stars Vincent Price. So this story is a guy is killed in a factory, and the wife is like, "Yep, I did it. I killed him." So they call his brother, who is played by Vincent Price, and they go and ask like well, his sister-in-law, like, what happened? Why did you do this? And she's like, no, I did it, but I can't tell you the circumstances. Finally, they break her down, and she's like, okay, I'll explain to you what happened. So it goes to a flashback where the fly, it's basically kind of the story of the fly. The guy's working on a teleportation device, and he's teleporting different objects, and then it goes to animals, which doesn't end up working well, and eventually he teleports himself, but he teleported himself with a fly, so he's turning into kind of a fly man, and the story kind of revolves in there and how he deals with it, how the wife deals with it, and ultimately how his brother Vincent Price deals with it. So this is my second time seeing it. I saw it a long time ago, so I didn't remember much of it other than the look of the fly, which is fucking awesome, by the way. I mean, it doesn't match, the 1986 version, but it's very cool for something in the 50s. Vincent Price isn't in it too much. He's kind of in at the beginning and at the end, but he's not into the flashback where you actually see kind of the Fly story kind of playing out. The one thing I totally didn't remember, which was awesome, is the movie set in my hometown, which was really cool. Not a whole lot of horror movies set there, and the story, it's good. It's a solid story. I enjoyed it. My gripe is that they spend a really long time looking for the fly because he thinks if they put the fly back in the machine with him, then it'll like separate back into their own like organisms. So they spend a good 15-20 minutes just looking for this one fucking fly, which is completely unrealistic
It's
because how
like
the
the
fuck are you
episode
gonna
of
fly?
Breaking Bad.
But yeah, kind of, right? And this fly has like a white little spotch on his head, so they're looking at different flies, and the nanny like swats a fly, and then the girl gets mad about it. It's a whole fucking thing that I didn't feel needed that much time devoted to it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I think it's a really good film. It's a contender for maybe being in my top 10 of the pre-1960s list when we get to that. So I would recommend checking it out. So that is The Fly, 1958, and I watched it over on VOD.
All right, my next one is 1986 Evil Laugh over on Tubi. And yeah, so these young people, they're in grad school, they're all doctors, some kind of doctor, of some sort, and they're all like going to go to this house to party because he's like, "Hey, maybe I'll buy this house, but I want to rent it first for 2 days," which doesn't fucking happen in real life, but hey, it's 1986, maybe it did. So they go to this house that was previously an orphanage with a mysterious past that they don't learn of until, 30 minutes before the movie ends. And essentially, the killer laughs a little bit when he kills people. And other than that, there's really no reason to call this Evil Laugh. They could have called it anything else but Evil Laugh, but they went with that instead. And now we're following as like these young people are bumped off one by one in this house from an unknown killer. We have a real estate agent that's a creep. We have a dude that's a creep. We have a girl that's a creep. Everyone's a creep in this movie. They're all banging each other. They're all practical joking each other. They're all getting drunk and they're all just trying to survive the night. And then we get our killer revealed to us, and I thought it was dumb as fuck. I did not like the killer at all. I thought they were very weak, and it was the weakest part of the story, which sucks because it's a slasher. At least you want a cool slasher, like either look cool or act cool. But nah, it was whatever. However, um, man, there's something about low budget 80s slashers, man, that I just fucking love. There's some really cool kills in this that are, obviously low budget but practical, and I just fucking love it. I love the effort when it's put into it, and that's what saved it for me, man, was the characters dying gruesomely and the kills being pretty cool. Which, unlike Virus, this special effects did save this movie because I had a lot of fun with them. So I give it a 3.5 out of 5, and that's Evil Laugh over on Tubi.
So my last one this week is a movie I watched over on VOD, and that is 2025's Hard Eyes. So this is one Joe had watched a few weeks ago, so I decided to check it out. The story is a killer goes to different cities on every Valentine's Day and just kills a bunch of people. He's this guy that has these hard eyes on his mask and just goes around and just wrecks shit for one day in different cities, and that's basically the gist of the story. So this one happens. It's in Seattle, I believe, and you have these two coworkers who are kind of falling for each other, and they go on a date, and Hard Eyes catches up to them and starts chasing them for the rest of the movie. So nothing too crazy there. The movie is very like hit and miss for me personally. I think the look of the killer is really cool, especially when his eyes light up, which, like Joe had mentioned a few weeks ago, only happens once in the movie, which is such a fucking bummer because I thought that was like the whole point of having them, is to kind of, and it happens early in the movie. It's not even like something they save for the end. So I think that was a huge miss, but he still looks really cool. The kills are good, like very unique, very gruesome. So that was awesome. And the actors were all really like good. So yeah, the film has definitely some hits. On the miss side though, the comedy I didn't find funny at all. Like other than the kills being kind of funny and stuff like that, the actual like jokes and stuff and the like relationship between the two characters just did not hit with me whatsoever. The love story was poor in my opinion. I just didn't see the connection. So, it's like whatever. And the killer's motivation was a bit odd. Like it just didn't make sense why he's changing cities, why or she or whatever it is changing cities and everything like that. And I hated the end. There's something cool about the end, which I thought was awesome, but there are some twists and turns that I just wasn't down with. I think it's worth watching at least once, maybe next Valentine's Day, but I thought this would be something I could watch every Valentine's Day, but honestly, it's not something that would make that list for me. I would keep watching some of the other better ones like My Bloody Valentine, maybe something like Lisa Frankenstein or Warm Bodies, but this unfortunately is too generic to make something like that. So I gave it 3 out of 5, and that is Hard Eyes, which I watched on VOD.
He, the person that plays the killer is doing cons. Would you guys consider an 8x10 or
No, no.
hard
This
pass
would
on
have been
those?
a good like bandbox item, but not something I
Right.
would actually
Yeah.
go get myself. Yeah.
He'll be at
Right.
Whorehound in a couple weeks, which
Yeah.
I'll
The
be at. So,
stunt actor. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
whoever
Kind
fucking
of like
plays.
Alex Armbruster, the stunt actor for Thanksgiving. Like I wouldn't
Name,
meet him
name
either.
dropping people.
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
Well, I got his autograph. It came in a bandbox, I think, or something like that.
Nice.
So, but yeah, no, I just like I said, I just don't think I don't think he's gonna be like ever become like an iconic character in my opinion or anything like that. Like, I don't even know if we'll see a Hard Eyes 2. I don't know how well it did really in theaters or anything like that. I think it did
It
do
did pretty
okay.
good. I think
It did okay, so we
it'll get
might
a
get a
sequel.
Hard Eyes 2. But I don't know. I'm kind of mad about it, but we'll see. I feel like there's room for improvement though, so maybe
Mhm.
we'll see. Alrighty, all right. Thank you, gentlemen. And now let's head in to our main event of the evening, 1986's The Fly, starring Gina Davis, Jeff Goldblum. That's really all we need to know, really. It's the most important. And directed by the legendary David Cronenberg. Plot: a brilliant but eccentric scientist begins to transform into a giant man/fly hybrid after one of his experiments goes horribly wrong. Sounds, yeah, that's pretty much what happens. But Todd, tell us a little bit more about what
Little,
happens in this
a
one.
little more meat on it.
A little more
Little
meat on the
more.
bone.
All right, so we open with a bunch of science nerds in a science hangout, right? Jeff Goldblum is creeping around because he's kind of socially awkward, man. Jeff Goldblum's a little weird. We all know it. Gina Davis is there as a hottie, and she's a reporter, man. She's into like Science magazine or something, and she's looking for a cool story. He's talking to Gina Davis is talking to him. He's like, you should come, to my little lab and see my fucking secret thing. He's like, what is it? He's like, I can't tell you. That's my Jeff Goldblum impersonation, by
You
the
can
way.
see my
Terrible.
fly, baby. That's what he said.
Oh, his little wee wee. Is that it? And then she's like, for some reason, he talks her into it, and she goes to his place, and she's like, yeah, I'm doing teleportation, man. It's gonna change the way humanity is forever. And uh, they make a deal where he's like, you can document this. You can be in on the ground up. You can, document my research, take photos, videos. Of course, they fall in love. They start fucking, dude. They start fucking on the couch, in the bed. They should have done it in the teleportation chamber, missed opportunity. But then she also has an editor who's also her ex-lover, and he's a little fucking mad, dude, that she's hanging out with them, and he wants to kind of fucking fuck him over. So yeah, Jeff Goldblum, he in a jealous rage because she's talking to him still. He's like, fuck it. I'm getting in the teleporter. I'm teleporting myself, baby. Oh, there's a fly in there. And then now he's slowly becoming the Brundlefly. And yeah, man. I feel like didn't we cover this movie at some point?
It was we definitely talked about it on our probably best of '80s list because
Oh,
I'm
okay,
sure it
that makes
made some
sense.
of our lists. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of, if not the gold standard of body horror, man. It's gruesome. It's hard to look at. It's sticky. It's wet. It's not shiny. It's not new. It's fucking just gross, right? I don't think that Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum have a lot of realistic chemistry, in my opinion. And there's some goofy stuff in here that I don't like. And I do have some questions for you guys, but overall, this one is a gruesome movie that's well acted, and I really dig it. You guys?
Yeah, man. Dude, this movie. I love this movie. I've always loved this one, but man, like the more I watch it, like as an adult and stuff like that, just like Man, we talk about like the CGI in like Cabin in the Woods, and that's a movie that came out, 25, 30 years later. And then you watch the practical effects of this movie, and holy fuck, does it hold up like amazingly. It still looks amazing to this day. The ball, like, I mean, and it's just like the slow sort of, tr transformation that Goldblum goes through this is just so fucking good. And I mean, the movie like just goes by at such a good pace too. Like I was never bored. Like there's never really a dull moment in this whole movie. I do agree though, somewhat Todd. I do kind of feel like the chemistry was kind of rushed, like almost like it's just almost like it was like an instant sort of thing. Where like it wasn't like a good build up, I feel like. So I definitely can feel you on that one. But man, like, but then by the end, just you really feel that emotion, you know. So I think it sort of works itself out, and works. Yeah, man. I mean, it's and I have seen the Vincent Price Fly, and I mean, this definitely is like I think also one of the gold standards for remakes. I mean, it takes everything from that original movie and just improves on it tenfold. I mean, maybe The Thing is the absolute gold standard for Carpenter's Thing is the absolute gold standard, but this isn't too far behind for me.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying. I think this is an amazing movie. It was in the top tier of my top of the 80s, but the 80s are so fucking stacked, you know? And I agree. The movie starts very abruptly. Like, I almost feel like it starts and I walked in 10 minutes late to the theater, you know? Like, it's just like they're already in a conversation and like starting and immediately goes to their place and he's showing off the experiments, stuff like that. She fucking pulls out her stocking, like you didn't have a pen in your purse or something that he could have fucking transported. It's just, yeah, it just felt a little too quick to get into it, but it slows down after that in a way that's very satisfying because, like you said, he looks different and worse and worse and worse in every single scene that he's in subsequent to his experiment kind of going wrong. And I love how subtle it starts. It's just like pimples at first, and then there's just that little kind of scratch in the back with little hairs in it, and it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And it just every time you think, okay, this is his final form, no, he goes through one more fucking form, and yeah, it's just really cool. I think this is, one of the better horror movies ever made. My issue with it is I don't love the whole thing with her editor, like her editor, her boss. I get why it's there. You need to have some kind of conflict with her and Seth, but he's just such a sleazeball. And then, they set him up as being such a douche for the whole movie, but at the end, they're kind of making you trying to root for him because he's like on the side to help her out and stuff, and it doesn't feel right. It's like I don't want like this character should have been gone fucking half an hour ago. So it's got a few issues, but as a whole, I fucking love this one.
Yeah. Jeff Goldblum's fucking weird, man.
He's so
Yes.
good, man.
But it
He's
works
just,
for this, right?
yeah,
I
it
know, I
works.
know, I know. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
just the
fucking weird though.
eclectic scientist, character just like works. And
Yeah.
Gina's good. Like Gina, I mean, I've always liked Gina Davis.
Yeah,
Like she's
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 babe.
always good in everything. She really is kind of like a horror legend when you really think about it. Like fucking this, Beetlejuice. She did the Exorcist TV series. Like she's had quite a little career for herself in horror. I understand what you're saying though, Steve, with what's his name? Stathis Boren?
Stathis.
What a
That's a
fucking
name.
name. What a name. Um, I understand what you're saying though. Like, yeah, like but like I feel it was necessary, right? Because how else are you getting Goldblum's character to like, I guess, kind of go off the deep end and get him into that pod
Yeah.
like drunkenly?
I think I get that part of it.
Yeah,
I don't think he's required after. Like, why is he
agreed.
still in the
Sure.
story at the end and trying to help
Yeah,
her and suddenly becoming like a good character? That I didn't like that part of it at all. I think he was
right.
needed at the beginning to get him to that point, but after that, it could have been just a whole thing between her and Seth, and it would have been
But
totally fine.
But we wouldn't have gotten the awesome Goldblum fucking regurgitating puke acid
Yeah,
on
there's
him
that.
and burning his body parts off, which is awesome.
Well, we're there already, so I do have the question here. Is Stathis a good guy, yes or no? Because to your point, he is a sleazeball for 70% of this movie, and then he's not, and then he's the hero,
He,
the hero with the shotgun. I I know he's ultra possessive of Gina Davis.
I feel like he gets better. Like he almost has like a redemption arc,
Hmm.
kind of. I mean, but it's weird because he is like really
Well, he is
dickish
the
in the
hero at
beginning.
the end, though. Like, there's no
Kind
other way
of.
around
Well,
it.
kind. I wouldn't call him the hero, would you?
Well, yeah, he shoots the thing to get her out of the pod. Otherwise, she would have been
Yeah.
Brundle slash Ronnie F Fly or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
He's in the sequel though. I've never seen it,
He
but
he
I
is
never
he
seen the
is
sequel.
to me he is all the red flags. Like he is the professor. Isn't
the
he the
name.
professor who goes after the student? Then
Oh yeah, I
he's
forgot
the
about that.
boss who goes after the fucking employee. He
He's
is every
power, dude.
fucking red flag possible. There's no redeeming for him at
But
all
he's
for
got
me.
a shotgun,
I
Steve.
know, but it could have been a cop. It could have been fucking anyone else. But you know,
Yeah.
Dude, speaking of, man, we desperately needed a bigger body count for this.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
him going on a fucking rampage at the end would have been so dope.
It would have been cool.
Or
I
just
could have
melting
used,
people.
yeah, I could have used some more death, but man, this movie's all about the body horror, and
Hmm.
it's just
Mhm.
so fucking good. Like throughout, like I just love how it starts so simple of him just sort of being a superhuman and being able to fuck
I
like for
don't.
like 10 hours straight.
So I don't like that part. I
You
like
don't like
it,
that
it's
part?
funny that he's banging constantly. That's funny.
Yeah,
But the gymnastics is stupid as fuck, man. When he's doing like the uneven bars in his apartment, like, come on.
Where'd those come from?
I liked it. I
They're
liked it.
they're 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 weight bearing fucking
Yeah.
poles.
Does it
It's
make sense though if you're
stupid.
turning into a human, a fly that you'd become like superhuman?
I Googled it. I Googled it. I
Yeah.
Googled like I'm like,
Do they
okay,
have
you know what?
great strength?
They have great strength for their bodies, yeah.
Okay,
So they're not
interesting.
they don't rival ants, which was a comparison, but they're pretty fucking strong.
Okay.
So I'm like, all
So
right.
so it makes sense. I mean, it's fucking awesome how he fucking goes and arm wrestles that guy and breaks his
Oh,
arm.
that's cool.
That
Dude,
was cool.
I think some of the scariest shit though is when he's crawling on the walls, man. Like it's
Yeah,
just so off-putting.
creepy. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, like just like the slow progression is amazing, and then the final sort of fly reveal.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
When his
it's
body falls
fucking
apart around him.
it's terrifying. And then
Yeah.
like just the look of him man, it like blew me. Honestly, watching it this time blew me away. Like the practical effects like blew me away. I'm like, holy shit! Like I cannot believe like that it looks
Good
so
stuff,
fucking
man.
good. It looks so damn good.
I mean, we just had to 86 is a banger for practical effects, man.
Yeah. No
Um,
shit,
what about David Cronenberg as the gynecologist?
Yeah.
dude.
Shout out.
Shout out to the
Yeah.
He's like, okay, I gotta be in this movie. Who am I? Oh, the gynecologist.
It makes me sad that man, he was supposed to be at Texas Frightmare the year of COVID, and then
Ah,
he
bummer.
canceled. He hasn't been
What
announced
would
for a
you have
con
got?
since.
The
I
Fly?
mean, probably The Fly. Yeah, it's my favorite Cronenberg movie. I mean, but
Nice.
I mean, he's done so many good. He's done a lot of great shit.
I,
Obviously,
I have a question. Did Brundlefly have a jar with his dick in it in the medicine cabinet?
Yes. Yes, he did.
Okay.
I'm pretty
That's
sure.
it.
I didn't actually. I didn't notice that,
It
but
was on the
I
top
mean,
shelf.
he
Okay,
had a
I
whole
thought I
bunch
saw
of
that.
he had a whole bunch of shit floating around in
I
there.
mean, it could have been his tongue or something too, but like I think it
Well, he
was
was
his dick.
talking, so it couldn't be his tongue.
Yeah, that's true.
His dick's just floating. That's funny.
It would make sense though, because he doesn't have it. So,
Mhm.
right? Would
Not
he
even.
know?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Also, the fucking Inside Out baboon
Oh
as
God,
well. Oh my,
that's the real victim in this
that
movie.
was
It's a
fucking
poor baboon.
disturbing.
Where's he getting these baboons from?
I don't know, but obviously he's been caring for him a while because the baboon like he immediately jumps in his fucking arms like it's his
Yeah.
baby, and yeah, that's sad to think about that he killed the other baboon,
Mhm.
in such a gruesome
Mhm.
fucking way.
Shout out to Typhoon, the baboon. He's credited in the movie,
Oh,
and he's actually has
shout out.
quite a
Oh,
career
What's he
in
in?
filmography. He was in three other movies: Unmasking the Idol from 1986, also The
Nice.
Order of the Black Eagle from 87, and
Love it.
Shakma from 1990.
oh,
So
All
shit, nice.
bangers, dude.
The Fly was his debut.
Is he doing cons?
What's he doing now?
You know, I don't know. Is he still?
Hopefully,
He lived
hopefully he had
pretty
a
long,
nice,
right?
yeah. Hopefully he had a nice life because he was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wish he would have thrown the chick he picks up at the bar in the fucking transporter just to see
Yeah,
what happened.
I
She
was
should.
hoping for
Yeah,
something out of that. Yeah.
she just
But
leaves. It's so lame.
she's
Like,
but
Yeah, he bangs her
but
and that's it.
it's one of the most famous lines of the entire movie though. It opens
Be
with be
afraid.
afraid, be very afraid, which is also
which,
the tagline of this movie.
yeah,
I'm not a
Which
fan of delivery though, if I'm being honest, with the
yeah.
it
be
was
afraid.
forced, right? Because it was the
Yeah.
tagline of the original. So,
She should have winked at the camera at that point. It's
yeah,
fucking
exactly.
okay, so I don't think Goldblum could have pulled Gina Davis. I'm not buying it. Not buying it.
Ah,
I don't know, man. People
I
really
think
like Jeff
so.
Goldblum. I mean, think about like
Man,
Jurassic Park.
Yeah, but that was
Like
like 5 years after this
yeah,
movie. He
but
was like
still,
he's suave and
he's
shit,
pretty
and
man. I think he's not a bad looking dude. Plus, got the
I
brains.
don't think he is
You
either. But
know.
it's a
he's just fucking
personality.
weird in this.
Yeah. Yeah, well, obviously, like, and they connected, right? Like, on sort of like this experiment too, like, so like the emotions kind of were getting there and stuff, and she was following him around and whatnot. So
Not
I could
using
see it.
protection and sexual.
Yes.
But she like slept with him immediately. Like
Yeah,
there's
immediately
no.
did.
Yeah, true. I mean, there was sexual tension right off the bat. I mean, she does take her stocking off like right
Oh,
away, and so it was there. It was there. Yeah. Um, does I can't. She goes through with the. Does she have the abortion? Or
no,
it
We don't
didn't
see it.
happen yet, right? We don't see
Yeah,
it,
we don't know
but
the,
what happens after.
the
it's
sequel's about his son.
implied. Is it really?
Yeah,
He like
Yeah,
goes through with
I
having
was
the
gonna say
baby.
because his last
Mhm.
wish is keep the
Just
baby
keep the baby,
because
Fuck
right?
that,
it's
man.
the
If you're the
last part of
girl,
me.
you're
You know.
you're getting
Dude,
rid of that baby, right?
I would think so.
As I mean,
I
as
mean,
dudes, we can say yes, but I wonder if
right.
female would
Well, it's
say the same thing.
her choice. I
I
mean, like,
I
I would
know, but it's
think
like, gosh damn, it could be a fucking mutant.
right.
yeah,
That's the fear, and which
Ugh.
she has that great dream sequence where she gives birth to like the fucking like
yeah.
Larva,
larvae,
yeah.
yeah, which is pretty
Ugh.
cool too. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
He kills himself, or he asks her to shoot him in the head with a shotgun, which is cool.
yeah,
Okay.
That's
and that's where
sad.
it was sad, man. It
Yeah,
was wicked sad because you like
yeah, he seemed like a good guy, like a
he
legit good guy.
did, yeah.
Yeah,
It was like you really felt bad for him because like yeah, he had some moments of like evil, obviously, but at the end of the day, like it's like the human aspect of him like is still in there, and like no, it's yeah, it's fucking heartbreaking, honestly. Like I really felt it watching it this time around, and yeah, it was sad, and she had to do what she had to do though.
That's pretty shitty though. That like, I know it's not real, but if a spider went in there,
It
you're
is real,
fucked.
Todd.
If a if you had a flea
This
on
is a
you or
true
something,
story.
this is based on a true story. So like, there's so many possibilities. Like little mites get on
yeah,
you or
yeah,
something.
for sure.
Fucked.
Yeah, man.
I
I
don't like it. I
wish
don't like it at all.
I wish it was real. I wish the teleportation was real, man. It's fucking
Nah, man, you get a fly in there,
imagine
you're
being able to
fucked.
imagine just getting to a teleporter and just going to work. Like you're fucking
That'd
there
be cool.
instantly, or like we go visit each other right
Yeah, well,
now. We
it'd be
could just be
easier
like,
for the
hey
fuckers to
guys,
make the movie, right?
right,
Like,
right. We could
You
just
just
record. We could record the podcast together every single
person,
week,
yeah,
like
yeah, and then
not
just
in
fuck off
person.
after you're done.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But think of the flies though, man. Think of the flies.
I mean, you're right. Like if that's the case, like man, imagine that though. Like just knowing like you're instantly fucked. Like it
Yeah.
must have been terrifying. Like I feel like they didn't convey that well enough either. That like
Just fear.
yeah, his like fear, like when knowing that there was a fly in there. I guess because you don't know what's gonna happen in that moment. But yeah, man, just like the thought of like fusing, man, so good. Do you have I have a fly figure actually, a movie
Me
Maniacs
too.
one. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
I have the same
so
one.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
I think that's the only thing they've ever made, right?
Yeah,
I think
but
so. Yeah.
what my I have like a long history with this movie because my first like real like foray into horror before I started watching horror movies was Fright Flicks cards in the 80s,
Yeah.
and The Fly was one of the movies that was featured prominently in those. It didn't have a cover, but they did have a lot of scenes from this movie in it, and it marked me even back then. I'm like, man, this looks fucking
Yeah.
cool, you know?
Hell yeah. It's funny because like the Vincent Price one is cool, but like
Sure.
it's so goofy. Like when
Well,
like
it's
the human
1958. I
head,
mean,
right,
yeah.
right,
But
yeah,
The Fly
fair.
looks good for 1958. Is
It
what,
does.
like,
It
you
really
know?
it does. Fair, yeah, it does. Do
Yeah.
you like? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, you really can't compare them. It's like
No,
they're so
the
fucking
remake is
different.
way better,
Yeah,
but
right.
I respect because especially for
Yeah,
the time
I like
they
the Vincent Price one. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
I actually liked it better than The Thing, from Another World.
Hmm.
versus this.
Agreed. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with that 100%. Yeah, I wish I want to get that. I was gonna get that Fly figure signed by Gina Davis, but then I went and looked at it and it's like yellowed so bad. Like, well, not terribly, but those movie maniacs, man, they really
Yeah.
fucked the packaging on those. They just like yellow out. It's crazy.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a pretty like basic movie at the end of
It
the day.
is.
It's like man gets taken over, gets in there, and then it's just like the whole movie is basically just his transition and like what he goes through, and it's pretty interesting. It's pretty cool. But yeah, anything else, guys? Or I mean, I think
No,
that's pretty much
it's
it. I
not a
think that
deep
yeah,
like
no,
movie, and there's not a lot of characters in it. It's really like
no,
self-contained.
it
Other than
is.
going to that bar, like
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot of people that are in there. So
Hmm. Yeah, the warehouse in itself was like a pretty cool setting, and it's cool. Like everything they did, like even the pods are cool looking, and
yeah. Well,
yeah.
one thing I will say, and which is weird as a horror fan, I guess, is not a whole lot of things bother me. Like I can watch people getting dismembered, no problem. When people lose their fucking fingernails, I just can't, man. Like I have a hard time watching people.
Teeth too. Teeth
Yeah,
always
oh yeah,
creeps
a
me
little
out.
bit.
Yeah.
Finger like especially if they're like fucking lifting off and stuff, like in like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and stuff. Like, oh
Yeah.
god, I fucking can't. It's so
Yeah,
gross.
I agree, but you know what really bothered me was the little hairs on his back. There's just
Oh
something
yeah.
about those
Yeah.
hairs,
The
man.
fly hairs,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty gnarly. Favorite Cronenberg movie? Is this it? Or do
Oh
you
yeah,
have
it's got to be
This
this
yeah.
one.
this is it. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah. I agree. I think I would agree. Yeah. I mean, obviously a lot of people say Scanners or Videodrome, but yeah, for me this
I
is
didn't
just a
love
step up.
Videodrome. The scanners is cool, but
I agree. I didn't. I've never been in the Videodrome.
Hmm.
yeah. So
Maybe
Eastern
rewatch.
Promises.
Never seen it.
that's a fucking
Oh,
good
that
one.
movie fucking rules. For a
Is that
non-horror
with
Yeah.
movie,
is
for a
that with
non-horror movie, it's probably my
Viggo
Vigo. Yeah.
Vigo.
Mortensen's in that? Yeah.
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 Nice. All
That
right,
one
let me look it
rules.
up. See where it's streaming.
It's great. Oh, and a history
Actually,
behind.
we're doing another Cronenberg next month. So
Ooh,
because we have another perk pick
what are
from
we doing?
Shaylin, and we're doing Dead Ringers.
Oh, I've never seen it.
Never seen it either.
Yeah,
Yeah, me neither. So there you go.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah.
trifecta.
Yeah, so
Nice.
that's we're doing that episode 379.
Excellent. I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to it then.
These perk
All
picks,
right.
man, they're like taking us into all sorts of interesting places.
Absolutely.
Except my
Uh,
cousin. Damn you, Max.
Dude, you know what line is stuck in my head?
What's
the
I'm
that?
bringing
mother
the
lode,
mother
Barry.
load. Yes. I'm like
Hey.
I don't know why it just pops in. I'm like, no, Barry, fuck off.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, let's get into rating this sucker then. I fucking love, yeah. I mean, I don't remember like where I had this in my top 10 of the 80s, but like I sure hope I had it in there somewhere, and I think I did. Because it's definitely one of the best horror movies of that decade. And it's one of the best remakes ever made, in my opinion. I fucking love this movie so much. The practical effects are just fantastic. They still hold up amazingly. And I'm gonna do it. 5 out of 5 for me, man. I fucking love this movie.
Perfect score. I'm not quite there, but I'm pretty high myself. I give this a 4 out of 5. I just don't like the goofy stuff that bugs me really bugs me, but everything else is fucking cool, man. It's gross as fuck. Yeah, 4 out of 5.
Yeah, so it was actually off my list when I made the 80s list, but it was the last one I rewatched before doing the episode, and it went up my list because of that. And I give it 4.5 stars out of 5, so right in between you guys on this one. I love it. It just, I don't know, it's missing that one little thing to make it a 5 out of 5, but still very enjoyable and one I could watch, every few years for sure.
Excellent. And what do our friends over at Letterboxd have to say about this one? Pretty good. It's currently sitting at a 4 out of 5 average, so very high, very great. So yeah, there you have it. All right. I think that is going to wrap it up then for this week's episode. But do not forget, stick around for our interview after the end of this episode with the director and star of A Cursed Man. What's his name? I
Liam
forget.
Le Guillou.
Liam Le Guillou. I interviewed him and I already forgot his name. So there you have it. But it's okay because it's my birthday
Right.
episode, so I can do it. In the meantime, actually next week, what do we got, Steve?
I don't care. I won't be here. So
You're
I'm
right.
kidding. It's going to be 2025's Companion.
Yes. which is currently now streaming VOD, so you can check it out for next week. And going back to 2025, it's been a little bit. So yeah, go and check out Companion for next week. See what Iris has in store for you. All right. In the meantime, you can keep up with the podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads. Just search the Horror Squad Podcast. You can email us anytime, the Horror Squad Podcast at gmail.com. But of course, you already know it. The best way to keep up with the podcast is our Discord. Absolutely, completely, 100% free to join. It's linked over on our Instagram. We got a ton of channels to go through over there. Movie Club every single month, hosted by Steve. Usually the last Friday of the month, but it does change occasionally. So just keep an eye on that page, and Steve will update you as it goes. Also, what else? Leave us a 5-star review on our favorite on your favorite podcast app if you haven't already. That helps get the word out. And also, if you'd like to buy merch, tpublic.com, the Horror Squad Podcast. Everything is linked over on our Instagram. If you can't find it, though, send us a DM or an email, and we will help you out getting anything you need. Important dates. Do not forget Hocus Pocus weekend. It's just a bunch of Halloween weekend with the cast of Hocus Pocus, October 2nd through the 5th in Salem, Massachusetts. It's going to be an awesome time. We're going to be hosting a bunch of events, a ton of events this year, actually, between October 2nd and 5th, including the parade. They're going to be the grand marshals in the parade this year, so come out for that. It's going to be awesome. Come for the whole weekend because we're doing a lot of different events this year that are going to be new and whatnot. So tickets will be on sale for everything very, very soon. We'll give you first dibs over on the Discord, or we'll let you know when they're going on sale, as early as we can on there. So that's definitely the best way to keep up with that. And also, I am going to be hosting panels at Wicked New England, which is going to be Saturday, May 3rd, also in Salem, Massachusetts. So if you'd like to come out and check out some panels and an awesome halfway to Halloween event, that is going to be Wicked New England, May 3rd at Old Town Hall in Salem, Massachusetts. And that's going to be it, folks. Do not forget, once again, stick around for our interview. But that's it for now. So see you next week for Companion. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Horror Squad Podcast, where today we are joined by a very special guest. His new documentary, A Cursed Man, will be releasing on VOD March 25th. Please welcome filmmaker Liam Le Guillou. Liam, thanks so much for joining us today. How's it going? And I hope I didn't butcher that last name.
No, you got it pretty close. That's awesome.
Right.
Thank you.
Close enough. So you hear A Cursed Man, and I'm sure our listeners are very curious just off the title alone. So why don't you start off by telling them a little bit what it's about?
Sure. Okay. So A Cursed Man is a story about what would happen if you go looking for an actual curse. And the whole concept of the story came about when I had this conversation with a friend, and they said they don't believe in curses. They don't believe in this magic, ritual magic stuff. And I said, well, would you let someone put a curse on you? And even though they said they don't believe in it, they said, no way. Mm-hmm. So that kind of was the beginnings of this idea. What would happen if you went in search of a curse? And so, foolish as I may be, I did that. I went globetrotting. I went around several countries trying to find traditional and ritual magic practitioners to find out if they would put a curse on me. And if I could find anyone who would do that, what would happen?
Mm-hmm. And I think the instant question that comes to everybody's mind while listening is, like, why would you go on this journey? Like, especially, I think, obviously there are a lot of skeptics out there, but a lot of people fully believe in this thing. So would you call yourself, a skeptic, or would you call yourself someone that, down the middle? And, was there a lot of trepidation, especially I'm sure from your wife as well? I mean, we see her in the film as well, but how did that all, go?
Yeah, I mean, that's the number one question everyone asks me,
right?
Like, why would you do this? And I think to answer that, I guess at the beginning, I was definitely skeptical to begin with. I think I'm skeptical about this kind of world to a degree. But at the same time, I have to have had a certain amount of interest and belief to even go looking for it and to even go and take part. So I would say open-minded skeptic is certainly where I began this journey. And why would I do it? I guess, if I'm skeptical, I didn't think too much bad would happen to me. And I think I say in the film as well at one moment, I said, if I personally don't believe in this stuff, perhaps nothing will happen to me. Um, it's far more complicated than that. It's far more complicated. I think that, it could be, some people could look at this and say this is very much a psychological thing. I'm literally doing this to myself, so then my own subconscious becomes my demon, if that makes sense. Or, as many of the magic practitioners say, no, you are actually opening the door up to demons here, and they're going to chase you down. And the reality is, my life definitely got a lot more difficult. I was struggling for a bunch of different things, and that was a result of doing this. So I think whether or not you believe in evil spirits, demons, curses, or whether or not you believe in the psychology, the result actually becomes the same. And so it becomes this really interesting psychological debate of what is the power of belief.
Yeah. And, was obviously I mentioned we see your wife in the movie quite a bit. You bring her in, and she seemed very sort of willing to go along for the ride with you. I'm sure there had to have been, though, a major discussion before you got started. And, was there a lot of, trepidation on her end? Did she try to talk you out of it, or was she pretty supportive right from the beginning?
Well, it's funny. She did say the first thing she said is, let's make sure your life insurance is up to date. And then secondly, my wife is very much a non-believer in anything spiritual. So she didn't fear like demons were going to chase me down and I was going to end up in a whole world of trouble. But I don't think even she realized just the amount of subconscious level of how this was going to play out.
Sure.
And that's not to say that this is all psychological. I think that I keep that debate open in the film. I think it's kind of a Rorschach test in the sense that you kind of get what you bring to it. I think, if you have a belief system in this world, I think you see that in practice. Also, I think if you come from more of a psychology background, you'll probably see that. But either way, I don't say that I set out to prove the existence of the devil or
Sure.
or anything like that. But it's an interesting experiment, and importantly, I think one thing I would say is people have said, well, so how has this changed you? How have I changed from going through this process? I say I was a very open-minded skeptic to begin with. I think now the best way to answer that is I wouldn't do this again.
I think that's very fair, especially after watching the film. And once again, everyone, March 25th, VOD, definitely go and check out A Cursed Man. Now, I found the film, especially compelling because, I mean, I've grown up around supernatural. My mother has always claimed she's seen spirits. My love of horror movies and the spooky and the supernatural. I mean, it's the reason I started a horror themed podcast. And I actually moved to Salem, Massachusetts, which is known as the Witch City. And, we have many practicing witches to this day. So obviously, your journey takes you a lot of different places, but I was curious when I started the film. I was like, I wonder if he is going to make his way out here to maybe Salem, Massachusetts to talk to some of the witches here, which unfortunately you didn't. But I was just curious, was that ever on the radar, or where else, what other maybe interesting locations did you ever have on the radar?
Yeah, I mean it's such a tough one to answer because there are so many amazing places to go
Sure.
to. And witchcraft and magic practice around the world. Every country has its own hundreds of different belief systems. So there's a natural limitation of any movie. You've got 90 minutes to try and tell
Fair.
us a succinct story, and also just how do you pick them? Like I certainly didn't pick any to be better or worse than any others. They were ones that had interested me. we go to New Orleans and
Yeah.
we speak to voodoo and hoodoo practitioners. Now that's just always been hugely interesting to me, and it's really strong and embedded in the culture down there in New Orleans. So that was something I really wanted to find out more about. I found a traditional British magic practitioner based in LA, funnily enough. So that was handy for me because that's where I'm based. And they were wonderful and had an amazing magical practice. It was really interesting to see. And then also, I've traveled to India before on documentary shoots. And it was actually on one of those shoots, I saw a tantric practitioner practicing magic on a completely unrelated shoot, and it really caught my imagination. And I just wanted to find out more. So I think that has always been in my mind. And then again, similar with Mexico, we go and visit a someone who aligns his magic practitioner with Satan,
Mm.
and we go and we make that sort of pilgrimage, as it were, to a cave where his magic is very powerful there. And that to me was hugely exciting. And yeah, that was. There are definitely a number of moments where me and my crew were scratching our heads a little bit, saying, "Are we taking this too far?"
Yeah, and that's a great segue actually into my next question because I mean, for me, the most captivating part of the film was your experience in Mexico. It was that was the minute, I kind of said to myself, I was like, this guy is insane. Like, yeah, I felt it to be the most extreme, I would say, of all the things you've done. I won't go, too spoilery because obviously, we want people to watch this, but going to Mexico and sort of making an offering essentially to Satan, it seems like a very, dangerous game. Were you nervous in that experience in the time? Or were you just kind of like, you have all the cameras on you, you're working and you're really not thinking about it in that moment? How was that whole experience for you?
Yeah, you do get lost in the moment. I think that, when we arrived in Mexico, we actually didn't have the person who we work with and film there, Hermana One. We actually hadn't found him. We found these people on location. So this whole documentary was very much go to the locations, find the people, and let the situation unfold. So I didn't go to Mexico thinking I'm going to enter into this this offering, this
Yeah.
essentially a pact with Satan, not to give too much away.
Mhm.
But I didn't go there necessarily looking for that, but that's how it unfolded. This project kind of had this runaway feel to it at times where I questioned my gut a lot. On a couple of occasions, including that one, I
Yeah.
called my wife the night before and said, "Hey, I'm going to go do this thing. We're venturing into a jungle. This is this is what I'm going to go and do." And I think she could really tell that I was nervous. But at the same time, she said, "Liam, you always make smart choices." I filmed a lot of somewhat adventurous, crazy documentaries around the world before. I know how to kind of take care of myself and the crew and know when to draw a line. So yeah, I definitely got nervous. There's a sense that, wow, I'm here now. I've got to see it through. Like I can't back out. I think that sense of it being a runaway train definitely grabbed me a few times. And I will say the crew definitely would keep me in check. And there's a slightly different moment in in India,
Mm.
where the crew were really uncomfortable about us venturing into deep into the jungle with a very unknown magical practitioner. And the crew were literally quite concerned and said, "Look, we don't think this is a good idea. We don't know where we're going. This guy might have weapons on him, and we
Yeah.
don't know what's going to happen." Um, I was prepared to go on my own, which is probably foolish, but as it panned out, the crew decided to come with. And the crew essentially we were a three-man crew on
No.
most of the shoot. It was me and my two camera guys. Quick shout out to my DOP, Blake Horn, and my other camera op, Sam Rosenthal, who tiny team, and I think visually they killed it. They crushed it.
Absolutely. And I didn't even have this on my list of questions now, but now I'm super curious about them, have they experienced, anything just sort of being on that energy? Did they, experience anything negative? I mean, I don't remember you kind of delving into that in the documentary, but I'm super
No.
curious.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question. Blake and Sam both have said, I mean, they were very quick to get blessings after we did anything
Mm,
negative on me. They would then get a blessing for them to
mm,
try and keep themselves out of
sure.
it.
Yeah.
Um, they would call themselves non-believers, but they're not taking chances.
Right.
Um, but that said, I did speak to I had a field producer in Mexico who I worked with. He called me up and said he'd recently been in a car accident and then his house got
Wow.
burgled. And so there was a bunch of negative things happening to him. And my exec producer, I mean, not to go into too many details, but he had a health scare that made him
Jeez.
wander. So, I'm not going to say it's a cursed film, but we'll we'll see if anything else
Yeah.
changes.
Right. Well, there is a disclaimer at the beginning of the movie for those people. So, go in caveat emptor, I guess, while watching this. Now I would imagine, finding people, who practice a lot of this sort of, I guess, dark arts and whatnot. I mean, you went to India, which, like you said, you had mentioned, it's illegal in India to practice some of this. So, how is that process to sort of go around, find people? I would imagine you would offend some people in this process when asking them to put a curse on you.
Mm. Yeah, I mean that's the hardest thing. The hardest thing of this project was me calling people, cold calling people or approaching people and
Hmm.
saying, "Hey, I respect your magic, but would you put a curse on me?" And the reality is, and this is the most important point, magic, all of the magic practitioners I met were not about doing black magic or harmful magic as what they do. Their magic is about doing good, helping people. And so finding anyone to do negative magic on me was incredibly difficult. It's not what they do. So I don't want to kind of portray all the magic practitioners I spoke to as, people wanting to do this to people because it was difficult. But eventually I did find people who understood the kind of the journey of experimentation that I was on. And so there is still this ability for them to practice that. So, but yeah, doors were closed on me a lot. There were points where I was worrying whether or not I'd even be able to see this through. I didn't think I'd find anyone to do it. So it was certainly a big challenge.
Okay. Our time is starting to run short, but I just have a
Yeah,
couple of final questions for you.
sure.
What would you say to the skeptics out there? Obviously, there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of skeptics that are going to watch this film, and what would you say to them before going into this movie, and after going through your experience? What's your message to them before watching this?
Yeah, I mean, I think for any skeptics, I mean, I'm not asking you to believe, and I think that one of the things I'm most proud about the film is I've actually managed to capture authentic magical practice on film that I've never seen before. It's like hardly anyone's ever seen anything like this. And so it's fascinating to me going into it as a skeptic. I'm still just as fascinated by the subject. So I think you're still going to get something amazing from it in terms of seeing something that you've literally never seen before. Um, and you don't have to believe in magic to take that away, but maybe I'll change some minds too.
Yeah.
And I would ask one more question, skeptic or not, ask this question of yourself. Would you get cursed?
Definitely not me. I think most people watching this will be like, that man is insane. But yeah, I think you'll definitely turn some people around after watching this. I think it's a great film, and I definitely recommend everyone going to check it out. Once again, A Cursed Man, VOD, March 25th. I got one final question for you, and I think it's a pretty obvious question. And it's that, you know, do you feel like, I mean, to me, once again, I'll go back to the blood, offering in Mexico there, where I was like, man, I think to me, that's like a thing that almost seems like irreversible. Like, no matter how many things you could do, how many shamans you bring in, or, healers or whatnot, it just seems like something that you could live with your whole life. So, I mean, I guess my biggest question is, do you have any regrets? And do you feel that maybe some of the stuff you did might have been, irreversible, and it's something that could potentially, haunt you down the road. Not to scare you or anything, but it's just, I'm sure it's something that has, plagued you even to this day.
Yeah, I mean, time will tell, right?
Yeah.
Have I done something crazy? I think for my own personal mental well-being, I have chosen to draw a line under this, not to give too much away, but I do undertake to have these things essentially removed from me. But
Mhm.
I have chosen mentally to draw a line under it. So my mental and subconscious is choosing to draw a line under it. Now, whether or not the gods and the spirits have a different thing in mind for me, then I don't know. That's up to them.
Hmm. And how are you feeling like today? Do you feel like good? Do you feel, I mean, you left the movie, in it seemed to be a fairly good place, but like, now that filming is wrapped and you're here, like, do you feel like in a positive light, or do you feel like there's some lingering effects or anything?
I feel pretty good. I will say for anyone who's ever made a film, and there's a number of you out there who have, making a film is hell.
Oh yeah.
So, so getting cursed anyway, you come out of finishing a film pretty exhausted. So I've definitely coming off of the back of that. But overall, no new big issues.
Hmm.
Yeah, we'll see. As I said, time will tell.
Yeah. Liam, once again, thank you so much for joining us. Before we let you go, obviously, once again, everyone, March 25th, VOD, A Cursed Man, a must watch. I absolutely love, I was captivated the whole time watching this. So I think if you're into supernatural, if you're a skeptic, honestly, anything, I think you definitely should watch this. I think there's, a lot to take away from it. Yeah, but I got to know, like, what's next, in the pipeline? Do you have anything going on? Do you have any projects you'd like to promote, or where can people follow you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can definitely find out more. I mean, we have a number of deleted scenes that didn't make it into the film. We're going to be putting those out through social media at some point. So go find us. Instagram's probably the best place to find more information right now. And that's A Cursed Man Film. You can look that up. And yeah, other projects, you'll find links somewhere on there too. I went to the Dyatlov Pass, which is
Oh
another
yeah.
horror themed place. That was my previous film, An Unknown Compelling Force. So definitely kind of adventure mystery filmmaking is where I'm at. I've got a couple more ideas in the pipeline, and yeah, I'll be putting myself back in danger in no time soon, I imagine.
Excellent. Well, I personally look forward to it, and I know a lot of our listeners, after checking out Curse Man, are definitely going to be excited to check out what you got going on next. Liam, once again, thank you so much for joining us. And if you're ever in Salem, you want to come explore some of the witchcraft here, please reach out. I'd love to show you around.
I would love that. That'd be great. Thanks
Awesome.
so much.
Yeah, thank you.